Let's continue our lecture series on culture, and we come to the different cultural processes, uh, cultural universality, and culture variability. The similarities of different aspects of human culture are called cultural universality or cultural universals. For example, in every society of the world, we have family. We have some kind of arrangement of marriage, some ceremony. Often there are some uh, ceremonies of a boy becoming a man, a girl becoming a woman. The transition from uh, childhood to adulthood, initiation ceremonies. You've got religions. You've got humanist religions. For example, as communism or socialism is a humanist religion. Capitalism is also a humanist religion because it keeps a human as the focus of its attention. It has certain beliefs regarding human welfare or human nature or human society. Similarly, you can say that secularism is like a naturalist or a humanist philosophy. Buddhism is a naturalist philosophy. So we can call democracy, even a democracy is a kind of a religion. So every society has some sets of beliefs, you know, and but having said that, every society, almost every society right now, most of the societies have states, political entities, you know. However, the types of states really differ. I mean, some are dictatorships, some are democracies, some are kingdoms, some are constitutional monarchies. So this is called cultural variability. Now, another important and uh, often a very interesting and a kind of a shocking, its name suggests culture shock, is a process called culture shock. In culture shock, an individual who is socialized, who has spent his entire or her entire life in one society, suddenly encounters a new society. For example, a person uh, who is born and raised in some village in Afghanistan, Pakistan, or India, he goes to Dubai. He sees the big malls, the parties going on, the wealth, the big cars, everything is just huge. Uh, so this is a culture shock for that person. Or you can say a person who is raised in Jamaica in the West Indies, and he's used to party and used to have a very little bit, clothes, knickers, things like that, and suddenly he's kind of wearing no shirt or sometimes a vest, and suddenly he encounters a culture as conservative as Saudi Arabia. I mean, there are women who wear abaya. I mean, so that's a kind of a culture shock. Or you can say a person from Turkey. I mean, most of the people in Turkey, they are Muslims. So a person from Turkey goes to China. Most of the people in China are atheists. They don't believe in God or Almighty God. So that's a culture shock. You can see here many people go to the Kailash Valley in Pakistan, in northwest Pakistan, which is an animist community, and this is a good example of culture shock. Another important process is cultural lag. Lag means lagging behind. So often we see that we accept material culture uh, change very readily, and we do not accept change in our symbolic culture. For example, we may like a new technology, but we may not like to change our political system or religious system or social system. For example, this old guy, he has bought a mobile, but he doesn't know how to use a mobile. So often, just like my mother, she cannot even dial a number, let alone use social media. Another process is called cultural inertia. We already discussed it. Inertia in physics means resistance of a body uh, to change its position or its current physical state. So in culture, it is the tendency of resisting social change, especially in symbolic culture. So people can tolerate saying that the economy of our country is not good, or like the cars in our country is not good, but we do not like to hear that our religion is not good. Obviously, we love our religion. Uh, we are very attached to our religion, and we worship our own gods. For example, Pakistan cricket team, people like to watch the men's cricket team, but nobody knows that if there is a Pakistan women's team, that's because of cultural inertia, because traditionally cricket has been known as a gentleman's game, not a ladies' game, like badminton or table tennis. You know, another cultural processes is called cultural exchange. So there are four ways culture can exchange traits, complexes, patterns, or themes. Uh, so the way a culture can exchange traits is by diffusion. Diffusion means an exchange of cultural traits. For example, we adopt something from India and Indians adopt something from our culture. We watch their movies, they watch our dramas, so we're even. Even Steven. We watch their Bollywood music, they watch our Coke studio. So our pop music is very good. Okay, acculturation is when a minority culture adjusts its own culture to satisfy dominant culture. For example, there are many Christians or Hindus or many Christians, yes, in Pakistan. So they also say Assalamu alaikum, the Muslim greeting, and they also use Allah instead of God. So it is to like adjust or to satisfy dominant culture. Similarly, Muslims living in the West, they often say God instead of Allah. And they also be, for example, Muslims living in the West, they also believe in secularism. In fact, they like to defend secularism. Or even in India, Muslims are in favor of secularism because in secularism there is freedom of religion. If you remove secularism from, say, India or the West, then the Muslims will be persecuted. Uh, we are seeing some instances that in India and even the West, minorities, including Muslims, are being persecuted. So, assimilation means that a dominant culture absorbs a minority culture, it devours, it totally replaces a minority culture. For example, we can say Balochi culture has assimilated Brahvi culture. Even Brahvi says that we are Balochis. Or you can say that another example could be uh, that many minority cultures are being assimilated by the Han Chinese culture, that is the dominant culture. Or you can say the Aboriginal culture of Australia is being assimilated by the British, the Western, or the Aussie culture. Or even in Japan, there were many minority cultures, many indigenous peoples, and they were replaced by the Japanese people. Amalgamation is when two or more cultures become one. For example, in classical Muslim history, we have the example of Muhajirun and Ansar, the people of Mecca and Medina, they became one. Amalgamation. Or you can say the various nationalities in France, like Burgundy, or the Normans, or the Brittany, the French, the Franks, they became one and they formed France. Or you can say Angles and Saxons, they, or even the Danes, they mixed together some Celts as well, and they made the English nation. So this is amalgamation. So that's it. Thank you for your time. I hope you learned something new. And that's it about culture. If you have any question, you can ask in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel.